Oh, snap. Hello. I guess we're live right now, but I can't see anything because I have this weird screen up. Um. Oh, snap. That's not what I meant to do. What up, everybody? Let's see. It is study hall today. And once again, copyright claims. Love it. Shout out to copyright claims. Said no one ever. Yeah. I just checked all my stuff and they're like, yeah, we got like 50 copyright claims on your stuff. I'm like, all right, dude, whatever. I don't really care. As we continue our journey of studying on camera and trying to learn things on camera, always fun. Let's see. Trying to find a bunch of different tools and learn things. Let's see. Oop, my bad. It's almost. Oh man. Yo, what up? You know it's study hall. You know what the deal is. Drop your questions and hence any funny jokes you want to drop. Please put them in the chat as well. I'll take those and steal them to use them on my girlfriend to curry favor. You know, that kind of stuff. Got to do some social media stuff and then we'll get started with the show. Wow. Apparently, the Twitch desktop app that I use is going to cease to exist on April 30th. I just learned that today. I just learned that like 10 seconds ago. So that's fun. It's fun for everybody involved. Yeah. Anyway, I promised I would never come on this show with my arms out again. After that one time where I was like looking at myself in the monitor and all I could see was like the jiggle and fat on my arms or whatever. But you know, here we are. Trying to be better. Trying to be cool kids, stuff like that. Not really trying to be cool kids, but you know what I mean. Multi-stream. Let's see. I'm trying to honestly, man. What I really need to do in my life is find one place where all of the chat is centralized one direction. But we're not. I should probably like look at the dashboard at times when I'm not online. But I don't think about looking at the dashboard until I'm online. If that makes sense for people. It shouldn't because it's stupid. It is truly a foolish man's endeavor, but let's see. Oh man, so I went and got a haircut the other day, and I think I need a new barber for the first time in like. Yeah, my barber's just like, he's an old black man who is ignorant of not only like sports things, but like life things as well, man. Like he said some like real transphobic shit about like Dwayne Wade's daughter, which by the way, like if you're a person that is obsessing over the fact that Dwayne Wade's daughter doesn't play basketball and is tall, and your whole goal is to try and like make her into what you want her to be, it's very fucking weird to me. But yeah, man, that's just he's just like blatantly just saying like some mad transphobic shit out loud. And I was like, I don't think I can. And I've gotten into the habit, like I don't have a lot of money, but I'm trying to get into the habit of making sure that like if I actively know somebody is harmful or doing damage or honestly somebody that I don't want to support, I go out of my way to make sure that I don't give them my money. Like for instance, and I know this is a small thing or whatever, but it's a me thing, and I feel like it's. I mean, like everybody talks about how America apologizes with its money. Like everybody talks about that all the time, right? Like in particular, people talk about that being the case when it comes to like lawsuits. That's like why lawsuits are a thing in America, because Americans apologize with their money and their existence and all that kind of shit like that. So I think that I take that mentality and utilize it to, like, if you apologize with your money, then you support people with your money. And I know I give money to bad people, like on a grand scale. Like I buy Koch brother products that I'm not aware of all the time. And honestly, the Koch brothers are truly just, there are people who don't, they're two guys who don't have like actual compassion or the ability to be a human being. And it's pretty obvious. Like it's like super evident that they're like not actual human beings based off the way that they act. Or some people would argue because the way that they act, they're more human than a lot of people. Depends on how you view humanity, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. So, like, so that happened, and honestly, he said some transphobic stuff. When we talk about, like, he used to be a guy that used to know more about sports than me, and he used to have like actually useful opinions. And this is before I got to the place where I'm at right now. And this isn't one of those things where it's like, he doesn't say what I like him to say about sports. He's like truly ignorant of things that happen within the realm of sports. But he likes to, like, he pretends that he knows what he's talking about. And and his go-to thing is like, I listen to 610. And if there's ever one station in the city of Houston that I feel like, one, either holds back his talent or is like not getting talented enough people on air, it is 610 AM here in Houston, Texas. And of course, now that I've said that, I'm never going to be able to get a job there ever again, because people totally watch my streams, right? I'm such a big time streamer. Anyway, his obsession with like, I watch 610, therefore I understand sports, is not only annoying as a thing to rely on, but also like a level of stupidity that I just can't really wholeheartedly respect, agree, if that makes sense. Because quite frankly, like, what the hell's going on? And he continuously says that, and I find it super annoying that he thinks that because he listens to a specific radio station, that it makes him a viable, like, it makes him like a viable sports fan or like a person in a position to discuss sports. And maybe I'm coming off as like a snooty person because I go out of my way, as a lot of you can tell from this show. I am a sports nerd to like a certain degree, right? So I go out of my way to look at a bunch of shit and all that kind of stuff like that, and read and watch games and watch people's opinions and listen to people's opinions. And it has expanded my knowledge of sports and my understanding of sports. It's helped me identify what I should and should not be looking at to understand the wide world of sports. It's helped me, and then of course I do my own independent like research by myself on a consistent basis. And he's a barber who listens to a radio station like maybe 6 hours out of their 24-hour programming and thinks that that's a valid way to be a sports fan. And it is, to a certain degree. You just can't pretend that you know more than me. You can't pretend that your opinion is more informed than mine, is my point. Like we were talking about, like, for instance, I went and got my haircut most recently. Not only did he say that really transphobic shit, that really rubbed me the wrong way, because it was like he went out of his way to he's like, oh man, he out there on that trans bullshit. And it's like, wow, man, like you're a person of true ignorance. And honestly, like, I would never, and I've sent business this guy's way before, but I shouldn't be. Like, I shouldn't be trying to send business his way, because I can't have a person that in my life I'm actively supporting that is harmful to a group of people that I, one, care about their overall safety, because that is a legitimate question to be had on a regular basis, but two, like, you know, he says a lot of other ignorant shit too. And then on top of that too, he's annoying as fuck to talk about sports with. Like, he used to be somebody I looked up to, and now as I've gotten older, like I said before, not to be a dick or anything about it, but you know, like, his opinions mean nothing to me anymore. He just likes to bug me for my opinion, and wants to, like, his whole goal is like, I can beat Ashton in a debate. I can beat Ashton in the debate because he thinks he knows everything and I know more than him because I'm older. And I'm like, no. Like, I got like reference points. Like, I read articles, listened to quotes, looked at videos, all that kind of shit like that about this topic, and you're talking from your fucking hip. Like, we were talking about the Knicks, and I was telling him, I was like, yeah, man, like, Tom Thibodeau, like, historically, his second year, every single team that he's been with goes, like, completely south, like it's going right now with the Knicks. And he's like, nah, that's not true. He's like, the problem is the players. And I was like, no, the problem is like, he plays his starters and, like, the 6th or 7th man off the bench into oblivion. Like, he makes them run minutes into fucking oblivion. And there was one guy who came up with like a legitimate point. He's like, well, they're best. He's like, they're trying to use Julius Randle like he's a superstar, and he's not. And I'm like, that's a legitimate point to be had for sure. Julius Randle played like one of the best players in the NBA, one of the best players in the world last year, and he's just not doing that this year. And I can say, I can say this kind of accurately because, like, let's be for real. Julius Randle should probably have like a shit ton more assists than he actually does because of his passing ability and his passing ability and the number of threes. The 3-point percentage for the Knicks is like off a fucking cliff compared to where it was last year because they were one of the best defensive teams and one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league last year. And that's fun. Because they didn't have like an offense that was like super high paced. They didn't have an offense that had one person other than Julius Randle that it focused on or whatever. And honestly, guys, you can do the math, right? Like, you got one superstar, you can only go so far. You got two superstars, you can only go so far. We live in a time now in the NBA where it takes about 2.5. Like, it takes 2 stars. It takes 2 superstars or a superstar and 3 stars, right? It's got to total up to like the equivalent of 2 superstars and a guy who's like a high end elite, like a guy who's like a star, like a guy who's borderline superstar star. Very similar to the dynamic with like D Wade and LeBron James, 2 superstars, and then Chris Bosh, a guy who was a borderline superstar most of his career in the NBA, and many could argue one of the best centers of his time as well. But yeah, like the Knicks just don't have that. Like the Knicks have been looking for another guy this entire time, and yeah, man, it's just wild. Anyway. That's like I guess that's like a growing up thing for me, because that wasn't like a thing for me up until like very recently. And yeah, man, it's interesting. Life is weird. Life is weird, bro. That's what it really comes down to. No, that's what my day's been like. Anyway, sorry, trying to see. Oh shit. Cloudbot. Sorry. Yeah, anyway, that's what's just happening to me. It's about time we start the show here in a second. Wow. About time we start the show here in a second. Shout out to everybody who hopped into the chat, dropping questions and shit like that. I will say this, there have been people on YouTube that retroactively watched the show and left questions in the comments, and I appreciate that because the comments get me that much needed attention because, as you guys know, I am a glory hound. We are still skipping frames, huh? Interesting. Somebody just called me a number, like, I can't emphasize enough the number of people who call me who's got a number that I don't recognize is like exponentially higher as you get older, kids. It sucks. It does. Because they're annoying. I really can't find my fucking display. What the hell's going on? Like, I don't want to be in editor mode right now, which is what I'm in. I'm trying to see, sorry. I'm trying to fix a setting on OBS because it's showing me multiple versions of my stream at one time, and I don't need that. Or like that, actually. Believe it. 911 an emergency. Fire. Oh, yeah, we're not playing that song today. Don't worry, guys, in case you didn't like it. Video. I think all my settings got reset. I think all my OBS settings got rewritten, which is not cool, bro. Not cool, guys. Appearance. No, it didn't. This is just weird. Like, it's just something weird going on right now. Whatever. Anyway, y'all know the deal. This show is specifically to, run to study up, and get ready for the show on Friday, which we didn't do, by the way, because I think I told everybody this, but I'm like the head coach for I'm the head coach for the League City Legends this upcoming season, which is the local Major League Quidditch team. So I'm their head coach this upcoming season. So I'm in charge of everything about the team. So yeah, everything except like a lot of the technical stuff for sure. But I'm in charge of like tryouts and stuff, and I had too much shit to do. Like, people were trying to get me to go to a Rockets game on the day before tryouts, and by the way, I worked out 7 days in a row last week. So now, of course, I woke up on Monday with the urge to work sore, and then today I woke up with the urge to work out as well, and I'm avoiding it a little bit. And then tomorrow, first workout's going to be 2 hours of basketball, 2 hours of open court basketball. We'll see what happens, but we'll talk about that when we come back here in a second. I'm going to take a quick break and also try and restart something here. I don't get why we're skipping frames. We literally have settings to prevent this from happening. We have specific settings on this stream to stop frames from being dropped. So I apologize. I've gotten accustomed to the life and times of not skipping frames, and here we are. And it also happens to coincide with some settings in OBS going completely sideways. Cut. Done. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's super fucking annoying right now. Anyway, I'll be back. We're gonna hit the hydration break for today's show, and I'm gonna go fix something in the distance that may be affecting this stupid stream, this stupid OBS thing. Be back. All this is Christina Gukas music. Follow her on SoundCloud. Yo, we're back. Let's see if it fixed the fucking problem. It probably didn't, based off of what I just saw. We skipped 2 more frames while I was gone fixing something, but anyway, we're gonna have to power through here because this is actually, if there was ever a pet peeve that I had, it is this thing that's going on right now, and it's super fucking annoying. So, anyway, I'm gonna do some social media stuff, and we're gonna get this show started. Oh, God. Let's do it. Let's see. Let's get. Wait, what's popping? There it is. I just want to change. Like, something in my default settings got changed because now I have to transition manually, which I'm not a fan of. Game overlay. Advanced recording. Yep. Four seconds. Automatically reconnect. Network. Sources. Enable video file caching. Yeah. This is so weird, bro. Like, I'm this is so weird, like what I'm seeing right now. Automatically stuck. You play. Oh, this is so stupid. Another frame skip, ladies and gentlemen. We love it. Super annoying. Yeah, let's send some tweets out real quick. This is easily the most annoying. Not because, like, now after this is over with, I have to spend, like... Now I have to... Oh, God. I'm live on stream. NBA, NFL, live, streaming, let's go, NHL, NL, National Championship, World Cup draw, Houston, Texas podcast. Let's do all those, see what happens. I love how like hashtag Houston, the second thing that searches is swingers. I didn't know the swinging community in Houston was out here like that. I didn't know. First of all, most king communities don't want you to find them that easily, so I find it weird that the hashtag is populating that frequently. Are city hashtags even popping like in the streets? You know what I mean? Like who's putting like hashtag Dallas? You know? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's do this stupid show. This is my favorite stupid though. This is my favorite kind of stupid. Wow, man. OBS. Let's get it together, shall we? Skipping frames. Jesus, man. Sorry for everybody who's watching this show because I think we skipped 12 frames in this show so far. We've only been live for like 30 minutes. I love how like nothing settings wise has changed, but for some reason I can't get a consistently good stream. I love that. That's me personally. Fucking fantastic. That's what it is. That's what it is, bro. Straight up, I that's what's going on. Like, anyway, moving on. We're gonna power through. You take off one episode, and all of a sudden, shit comes back and it's sideways. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Whatever. Transition. Fucking pissing me off, dude. I'm like legit pissed off about this. Ooh. Start off at the top. We'll start with the basic shit. If you don't know, this is Study Hall. We're gonna start with the basics and focus fully on. We're gonna start with the basics and just read some articles. Not do anything too complicated and learn some things. That's what this whole episode is about. It's about learning learning for the show and then learning to become better sports fans. So if you're out there and you enjoy the classical stylings of my voice reading, this is the show for you. Looks like our first article up is on the NFL section, even though we should be. Whatever, man. You know what? We're not going to do that. Washington Commanders deny ex-employees allegation club withheld ticket revenue from visiting teams. Interesting. Let's see what the fuck this is about. By the way, according to Mike Florio, take that for what you will. Never been closer to Dan Snyder possibly not owning an NFL franchise anymore. The Washington Commanders on Monday strongly denied a former team employee's allegations to Congress that they withheld ticket revenue from visiting teams, saying that the amount amounted to perjury. But the attorney for that former employee said that the team's statement defamed him. The former employee, Jason Friedman, testified before some members of the House Oversight and Reform Committee, the same committee that they talked. So if you don't know, I guess we should do the timeline. They probably actually do it in this article, but they talk about the timeline of, hey, guess what? Hold on a second. They talk about the timeline of the Washington football team changing their name to the Washington Commanders, and then the next day, a group of people would be in Congress, in front of Congress, talking about the sexual assault allegations and all the other fucked up shit that happened in during the Washington Commanders expose that was put out on Front Street during the year 2020. If you remember, ladies and gents, don't forget. Don't let Daniel Snyder get away with this. Let me see if I can correct this. And this is one of the problems with the fucking OBS thing that I'm dealing with right now. I'm trying to correct the look. Great. Now the article won't show. Love that. trying to make it so that you guys can actually see, but because of the stupid new setting that they put where I have an edit section and a live section where it shows what I can modify something to look like, it has now become, there we go, let's scoot that over a little bit. I love how there's no, yeah, something changed in my settings and I'm not happy about it. Sorry. You can hear it in my voice during the show, which is fun for everyone, I'm sure. This all happened like when I went live. Like none of this stuff happened during my checks, which was fun. Tons of fun. Hope you guys can read that. This extra transition button is unnecessary. You know what I think it is? Not the screen capture settings, but edit scene transition. Whatever. So stupid. Whatever, man. This stream is just going off the rails immediately, and it's all like stupid small technical shit. Anyway, going back to the Washington Commanders stuff, we're gonna power through the Washington Commanders stuff. They were talking about how they changed the team name, and then the next day there was a bunch of people at the House Oversight Committee and shit, right? And they were going out of they were talking about all the horrifying stories of sexual assault that happened in the course of like actual team events and stuff like that. Some from Daniel Snyder, some from other former C-suite employees of the Washington Commanders. At the time, Washington football team. Anyway. According to multiple sources, it involved allegations that the team withheld ticket revenue from visiting teams. Teams are required to deposit 40% of their ticket revenue into a visiting team fund as part of the NFL's revenue sharing. There has been absolutely no withholding of ticket revenue at any time by the Commanders. A Washington Commanders spokesperson said in a statement, those revenues are subject to independent audits by multiple parties. Anyone who offered testimony suggesting a withholding of revenue has committed perjury, plain and simple. Really funny, because now, I'm going to tell you this right now, the NFL doesn't care about women. You know that. We know that for a fact. Well, okay. The NFL doesn't care enough about women to hold the people who are accused of attacking them accountable for anything that they've done, right? Not to say they don't care about women, but they don't care about women enough to actually do anything to protect them, right? We all get that, right? The other thing in this situation, now we're talking about something totally different, because when it's one thing to talk about abusing women. It's a whole nother thing when you're talking about in the collection of NFL owners about stealing money from motherfuckers. Now, if this shit has any kind of validity to it, one, I'm assuming that a lot of other NFL teams are also doing it. But two, if we talking about motherfuckers stealing money out here, you best believe somebody getting pissed off somewhere. And people, I'd hate to be the man that's stealing money from rich people, as you guys know. They're not too big a fan of that. Friedman, who was a vice president of sales and customer service, worked for their franchise for 24 years. One might say he knows what he's talking about. Before being fired in October 2020, 2 months after Jason Wright was hired as the team president, which makes sense. If you're a person that empowers a new person, they're probably going to try and completely change up the staff, which you have to say, well, if we got these results from this group of people, then probably the people who helped us get those results are the problem to a certain degree. Jason Wright was hired as team president. Multiple sources have said that the evidence so far presented to Congress does not support the allegation. There we go. They defamed my client, Jason Friedman, who came forward at the request of the Congressional Oversight Committee and testified truthfully with evidence, his attorney, Lisa Banks, said in a statement. Unfortunately, Mr. Friedman is unable to defend himself publicly due to a contractual constraint. That's why you got to put those, you guys know how it goes. That's why they put that in that contract, that non-compete, baby, and that NDA. You can't talk about the shit that's private financial information of $1 billion organization publicly due to a contractual constraint that prevent him from speaking freely. He would be happy to recount his testimony if Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders allowed him to do so. Interesting, putting the pressure on Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders to release him of his NDA, which also might lead him to slip up and talk about some other shit. He would be happy to recount his testimony if Dan Snyder and the Washington Commanders allowed him to do so. On Tuesday morning, the Commanders responded to the idea that they defamed Friedman. Commanders lawyer Joseph Tacopina said in a statement the Commanders did not reference Mr. Friedman or anyone else by name in their statement. They just made a general, overall, overarching threat to everybody. Just so everyone knows, has defamed, because defaming would mean that you pointed out one person and said that that person is a liar and a cheat, right? However, if Mr. Friedman believes he has been defamed, he should bring a defamation suit. The Commanders will gladly accept service and vigorously defend any such claim. If you don't know, defamation suits, ladies and gentlemen, ultimate form, one key form of a he said, she said situation. That's pretty common, especially if you're familiar with how sexual assault cases work. Case in point there, because we all know that people who actually assaulted people definitely go to jail for assaulting people, right? Anyway, other stuff. Hold on a second. I gotta fix something. You didn't see that. Anyway, guys, between you and me, anybody familiar with what happens when, if you're a person that streams, you should be familiar with this. There are times when you are trying to do your show, or prepare for, in particular when you're trying to do your show, when you're trying to record your show. Wow, okay, I did not know you could see my Twitch dashboard. That was weird. There are times when you're trying to do your show, and everybody on the face of the planet is trying to get in contact with you. Like, that happens to me so often, it's ridiculous. It makes me wonder, am I always doing things that I find highly important that I need to be dialed in on? And maybe that's what the situation, maybe that's what the situation is for me, but I find it funny. I went and checked my phone just now because it was, apparently there was audio coming from it, and there is like 7 text messages. Two text message threads from people that I don't text. Like, there are people that I interact with on social media, in particular on Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram at TheAshtonForever, you too can be one of the many social media victims that I'm just kidding. I'm pretty fun on Instagram, but yeah, it's like people that I don't talk to, like on a regular basis, like on a daily basis, right? And they're on Instagram doing their thing, and I'm just kind of like, this person texted me, and I'm like, yo, what's going on here? You know what I mean? Anyway, whatever. That's what's been happening. So that's how it's been for me. Congress has been investigating Washington and owner Dan Snyder. Oh, okay, my bad. I don't know why that didn't make any sense to me, because I was like, oh, obviously they're about to say Washington Commanders owner Dan Snyder, but they mean Washington, the team, separately, and owner Dan Snyder. Since late October, after a 10-month investigation, the NFL fined the franchise $10 million in July for having created a toxic workplace culture. Can you imagine if you were a company, you can get fined like $20 million for being a piece of shit at work? Imagine how different America would be. Friedman had issued a statement supporting Tiffany Johnson's allegations at a roundtable session before Congress on February 3rd, where she alleged that owner Dan Snyder tried to force her into his limousine. If you don't remember this story, Tiffany Johnson is the woman who was in charge of, it's not ticket sales, but she was in charge of PR for the team or something like that. And basically she was sitting at a table while they were all talking potential advertisers for that's what it is. She was in the advertising department. They were at a table talking to like potential advertisers, and Dan Snyder, according to Tiffany, who I don't know why she would just make this shit up, especially since there's apparently multiple allegations about this. That he like reached and was like rubbing on her thigh and like going up her dress and stuff like that while they were at the table talking to advertisers and stuff like that. And his wife was like nearby or some shit like that. Anyway, and then the part about getting forced into the limousine is like they were leaving and she was trying to go home and he was like, oh no, like, you can just ride with me, you can just ride with me, trying to get her inside the car, right? And then like do whatever. She didn't want to be around the person who had just assaulted her. I totally understand that. Violated her personal space and violated her as a person. Yeah, totally understand why she would not want to be in a limousine alone with that guy. As of last week, multiple committee members were unaware of the new allegations, according to sources. Some leaked sources said that it would be difficult to alter the books based on the stringent auditing process by the NFL. The league conducts an audit of teams every several years. Washington has been audited in 2012, 2016, and 2019. It's common for every NFL team to pay more after these audits, often several $100,000. In 2019, a source said Washington had to pay an additional $86,000, which in the grand scheme of the NFL, not a lot of money, because that's like less than what practice squad players make, right? And $86,000, they probably make that in beer most games, I would imagine. With performance audit, Washington would conduct its own with an outside accounting firm, BDO USA. No free ads. On Friday, after the allegations about financial improprieties were reported by the Washington Post and Front Office Sports, Austin Hacker, a spokesman for the Republicans on the Oversight Committee, said in a statement that the leak of one-sided, unconfirmed, unsupported allegations from a disgruntled ex-employee. This is the classic. Oh my God, this is the Republican response. Classic right here. That random person that has no validity whatsoever, because I just told you they have no validity, and they're also disgruntled because they no longer have a job, because you can't be a disgruntled employee if you have a job, right? Anyway, leaked one-sided, unconfirmed, unsupported allegations from a disgruntled ex-employee with an axe to grind. He even used axe to grind. People don't even know that you grind fucking axes to sharpen them anymore, dude. Get better references. Jesus, man. Jesus. Gosh, man. You can't help them. You can't help them. I guess they're stuck in the year 1973. No, actually, did they even grind axes back in? They still grind axes, by the way, guys. If you don't know, I guess I should explain it. A sharpening technique for axes is to use a wheeled whetstone, and it spins, and you just hold the axe up to it, and it sharpens the edge. That's what he means, axe to grind. I don't know how many people actually know what the fuck that means, because that's such a whack-ass reference that only like 89-year-old people would get it or some shit like that. It's just further proof that the Democrats' investigation is a waste of Congress' time. If there was ever something that makes me more suspicious of anything, it's a Republican telling me that there's nothing to see here. Nothing the committee has heard from any credible witnesses points to any financial improprieties. Don't you find it funny how like all the credible witnesses just so happen to say that nothing happened, and all the uncredible witnesses say that all these horrible things happened? Points to any financial improprieties. In fact, the only credible witness in any position to know any facts the Democrats have heard has denied any such improprieties. Interesting. All right, that's an NFL article. We'll scroll down and look at a different one. Let's look at a Major League Baseball article. We're not going to read a deal about a Major League pitcher. Here we go. This is an interesting article. I wonder what anti-sign stealing technology is. Like somebody has like a mirror with the sun reflecting into it, and they just blind the Anyway, MLB to allow catchers to use anti-sign stealing technology. You know what the anti-sign stealing technology is, right, guys? It's fake signs. It's fake signs. sources say. Anyway, pitchers and catchers will have the option of using newly tested signaling devices as they can decide what pitches to throw in the upcoming regular season, which is cool because there's a video of a guy using it right there. You just click the pitch you want thrown, I'm sure, or you send signs from. That's actually kind of trippy. And like look at it inside your glove. That'd be legit as fuck. Anyway, this technology could help advance Major League Baseball beyond the risk of sign stealing scandals that have plagued the sport in the past decade. Interesting. Didn't think it was much of a scandal. I thought it was more like a whole like being competitive type deal. Sources tell ESPN that MLB sent a memo Tuesday advising teams about the approved usage of devices referred to within the industry as PitchCom. Using a pad with buttons on the wrist of the gloved hand, a catcher can signal pitches, pitch type, and location directly to another pitcher through a listening device. I would also like to point out we should only be like a couple years away from a heads-up display from glasses that are within that like pitchers can wear. Especially what is it? Oh man, there's a Dodgers pitcher that wears hold on, LA Dodgers pitcher glasses. There's a pitcher that wears like the ones that I would imagine are the ones utilized. There we go. Julio Urias white glasses. He wears glasses all the time when he's pitching to help with like sun refraction, I'm assuming. Those can definitely have a heads-up display put into them. I'm just saying. Show the pitch location and everything. Using a pad with buttons on the wrist of a gloved hand, a catcher can signal pitches, pitch type, and location directly to the pitcher through a listening device. Up to 3 teammates of the pitcher and catcher will also have access to the signals, aiding fielders in positioning. Change in baseball is often slow by tradition, which, by the way, the fact that this shit got approved has put baseball into like the cutting edge of technology. Like this is the equivalent of getting getting the actual earpieces and the green dots in the NFL, right? Like they finally did it. It's the year 2022. The green dot has existed. Let's look that up. How long has the green dot existed in the NFL? If you guys don't know, there's one player on every single defense in the NFL that has access to a microphone. Defenses and offenses that have access to it's an earpiece that gets the plays called in, not a microphone. In the 1950s, 2 Ohio inventors created a small radio receiver that they inserted into the helmet of the Cleveland Browns then quarterback George Ratterman. I have never heard of this motherfucker. They got away with it for 4 games before the Lions suspected something and reported it to the league. So the first invention or the first usage of the earpiece in football was illegal, and then it became legal. Look, there you go, kids. That's a life lesson for you. Then Commissioner Burt Bell, what a name there. What a name. Burt Bell was unhappy with this, and the Browns were ordered to stop. For years, no on-field communication between players and coaches was allowed. However, that is all. Wait, how did they call plays then? Is that why the NFL sucked in the 50s? Like there had to be signals, right? Anyway, in 1993, the NFL shortened the play clock from 45 to 40 seconds. Teams weren't happy with this, of course. It led to the coaches having to burn more timeouts. So in 1994, the league allowed quarterbacks to have a radio in their helmets so they could communicate with the sidelines. So 1994, MLB not too far behind. I'm 29 years old and I was born in 1992. Yeah, that's how old it is. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Yeah, MLB way behind the curve on this one. But yeah, hey, whatever is going to help those whiners on the internet stop complaining about what is and isn't cheating, because that once again is still very much up for question on pretty much every account, like what is and is not cheating. Up to 3 teammates, like they said before, will have access to the same signaling equipment. Change in baseball is often slowed by tradition, but the first reviews of the PitchCom system this spring have been glowing, with players raving about how the electronic process of pitch
Pitch signaling has been seamless, helping with the flow of the pitcher's actions on the mound. New York Yankees pitcher Luis Severino and catcher Kyle Higashioka used PitchCom in a game Saturday. I think it was great, Severino told reporters. I was a little doubtful at the beginning, but that was when we started using it. It was really good. With a man on second, too, I would definitely like to use it in my first start of the regular season. You know what pitch you're going to throw right away. Pitchers and catchers will continue to have the option of using the traditional method of signaling, catchers flashing fingers of their throwing hand in a coded sequence to suggest pitch selection, which, hey, they even put like a little bit of like rubber to prevent you from being able to see what button they were pressing in this video to like cover up where your fingers were at. That was pretty smart. There you go. No more complaining anymore. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about it ever again. Because now we've gotten to the point, now that this is in play, guess what? We've gotten to the point where if you get your signal stolen, it's actually on you. It's on you to come up with better signals, like it has been the entire time. But it's inevitable. Let's see. You know what the next step is, right? Start intercepting those fucking signals. That's what it is. Anyway, I would definitely like to use it in my first start. Pitchers and catchers will continue to have the option to use their traditional method of signaling, catchers flashing fingers of their throwing hand in a coded sequence to suggest a pitch selection. But it seems inevitable that PitchCom will see broad use within the sport as players get more familiar with the technology and because of ongoing concerns over sign stealing by opponents. Pitchers and catchers have long been concerned about on-field sign stealing by base runners and coaches, but through the years there have been cases of illicit sign stealing. In one of the most notorious chapters in baseball history, the 2017 World Series champion Houston Astros were determined by the commissioner's office to have used sign stealing systems designed to identify forthcoming pitches for hitters in real time during their at-bats. Through the use of TV monitor setups behind the Astros dugout, the revelations resulted in the suspension and firings of general manager Jeff Luhnow and manager AJ Hinch in January 2020, and the suspension of Alex Cora, who was the bench coach for the 2017 Astros. Cora managed the Boston Red Sox to the 2018 World Series title, but resigned after he was suspended. He was rehired by Boston before the 2021 season. Hinch is now the manager of the Detroit Tigers, and I can tell you right now, he is still paying for what happened with the Astros sign stealing situation, because if there was ever a punishment in Major League Baseball, it is to coach the Detroit Tigers. Carlos Beltran was a player on the 2017 Astros, and after his role within the Houston sign-stealing system was revealed, he resigned as a manager of the New York Mets before he was expected to be his first spring training in that role. Beltran explained in an interview with the Yes Network that the Astros believed that the other teams were also guilty of sign-stealing and that Houston wanted to effectively offset those efforts. The Yankees, Red Sox, and others were investigated by the MLB for sign-stealing violations. There is a wariness over the possibility that the PitchCom technology could be hacked during a game, but as one executive said recently, the NFL has successfully used signaling technology for years with quarterbacks wearing listening devices built into their helmets. It's almost like I'm a genius or something like that. We definitely, we jumped the gun on that one. I did not know that was at the end of this article. Anyway, shout out to the MLB. Most importantly there, shout out to the Houston Astros for pushing baseball forward into the future. That's what I just took from that article. The Astros sign stealing scandal has forced MLB to look at different ways to make the game more secure, which of course pushed more technology into the game, which makes MLB more open to new technology like robotic umpires, which has been tested out like 1,000,001 times, right? How long we been on stream? 3:57. This is a study hall for those of you who just hopped into the chat while we're hitting up and looking at a bunch of different articles and stuff like that, trying to educate ourselves and make ourselves better sports fans. If you got sports questions, please drop them in the chat, or if you got just questions in general about life. I may have an answer for you. I don't know much about life. I've been alive only 29 years, which some people will be lucky to have. Other people scoff at it, but I've been alive for 29 years. I know some things here or there. What Wow, you're not supposed to be showing people my Twitter stuff. Twitch, what the hell, man? You're supposed to only be showing that one tab that I told you to show. Anyway, we're going to look for another baseball story here. Signing Johnny Cueto. Shout out Johnny Cueto for still staying in the game. It's been a while for him. Oh, by the way, all the videos coming out of, what is it? All the videos coming out of dudes making the Major League roster is pretty cool. All of MLB to wear Jackie Robinson's number 42 in Dodger blue on April 15th. So they changed something slightly. I guess we should read and find out. Alden Gonzalez, ESPN staff writer. Players, coaches, and managers throughout Major League Baseball will continue the annual tradition of donning Jackie Robinson's iconic number 42 on April 15th, but there will be an added twist for this year's 75th anniversary. All 42s will be colored Dodger blue regardless of the team's primary colors. That's cool. Do they have any examples in that? No. The Los Angeles Dodgers, the organization for which Robinson carved out his entire trailblazing career, will be at home against the Cincinnati Reds. A day that will mark 75 years since Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in his debut with the Brooklyn Dodgers. Wow, man, 75 years ago, huh? That's wild. Oh boy. Let's see. I don't see anything else that's like super duper important. Tommy Davis died this past weekend. That's a person that I only know their name. Like, I've only heard their name like 1,000,001 times. I know nothing about them as a person. Seattle Mariners, that's arbitration article. Left-handed pitcher Sean Manaea in trade rebuilding Oakland A's. Justin Verlander happy to get through spring training healthy. I'm sure he is. Justin Verlander's been on a roller coaster since he got here. Let's see. Oh, let's check out the mock draft since the NCAA men's tournament is over. Yeah. This is Schmidt. It's Jonathan Cavoni and Mike Schmidt. So the two best minds when it comes to the NBA draft combined together for the mock draft coming up here. Oh, man. Let's look at it. I'm not reading these articles. I'm sorry, I'm not reading that. Okay, whatever. The first weekend of the NCAA men's tournament is in the books. Several prospects possibly played in their last college games, while two of the projected top 3 NBA draft picks advanced to the Sweet 16. As the tournament advances, the matchups will continue to be more. This is from a couple days ago then. Let's see. Is this? I can't even read this. I don't know why I clicked on that. That's so stupid. No, this is from like a couple days ago. I don't know why. Anyway, that was weird. Stepdad expects Zion Williamson to play for New Orleans Pelicans this year. If you have not heard, the Pelicans are in the play-in spot right now. Let's see. More NBA stuff. Why Jabari Smith might be the number 1 pick in the 2022 NBA draft, and who might select him. Hopefully the Houston Rockets, bro. That'd be sick. Although we do need a center, more so than anything. But if there's been one thing that's defined the Rockets for the past, 20 years, bro, it's the fact that the Rockets need a center. Like, they legitimately have never had... They haven't had a big man in such a long time. It's ridiculous, bro. If you're familiar with the long-standing legacy of the Houston Rockets, like the biggest and baddest center ever, of course, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, and then there was a lot of dudes in between there, and it gets you to Dwight Howard. And so there have been 2 iconic centers because both of those guys are going to be Hall of Fame. Dwight Howard's going to be a Hall of Famer whether you hate him or like him. Hate him or love him, underdogs on top. I'm on side, homie, into my heart. Style, look how they envy me. My rap's MVP, and I ain't going nowhere, so you can get to know me. Hate it or love it. Anyway, that's one of the best songs that 50's ever done. Like, let's be for real. Like, it's got, to me, it's better than Up in the Club. Up in the Club is a banger, but, you know. Hate It or Love It is like truly iconic shit to me. And I don't even like 50 like that. Let's see. Brooklyn Nets. Let's go. Oh, so yeah, let's check this out. This is article was written yesterday. And it's about Overtime Elite, which is the league that Overtime, the app on Twitter that is now blown up to the point where it makes so much money. Oh man, this is exclusive shit. All the NBA stuff is exclusive right now. Oh, by the way, if you haven't heard, your boy is gonna try and take another swing at it. Get it? Swing. Tiger Woods is gonna play in the Masters. Memphis plays on. Let's go. Anyway, let's look at some other sports. Longtime Anaheim Ducks captain Ryan Getzlaf retiring after season. Good for him. Get that money, boy. Vegas to Vancouver. Let's see. Detroit takes on Boston. Let's see. Tampa Bay. That's all I got. Nope. I tried the hockey stuff. You guys saw it. I tried. Athletic director Mark Rhodes poised to finish his career at Baylor with 10-year deal. Let's look at this. It's Baylor paying somebody a bunch of money to continue to work in their athletic department. Baylor athletic director Mark Rhodes has received a 10-year contract designed so he can complete his career at the school. The school's board of regents, which approved the new agreement Monday for Rhodes, 56, who has led Baylor's athletic department since July 2016. Rhodes also received a 10-year contract with the school in October of 2019. Wait, what? I'm so confused. Rhodes had also received a 20-year contract with the school in October 2019. He arrived in Baylor in the wake of the sexual assault allegations. Rhodes initially received a 6-year contract with Baylor. He has made 2 successful football coach hirings in Matt Rule, who is now the coach of the Panthers in the NFL. Dave Aranda, who led the Bears to a Big 12 championship and Sugar Bowl title in 2021. We all forgot that the Baylor Bears won the Big 12. Baylor won its first men's basketball championship in 2021 and the women's basketball title in 2019. Mac's leadership has been nationally recognized over the past 5.5 years, and his name has been connected to several opportunities as of late. So they were just trying to lock him down before he got away. But yeah, there you go. We're not gonna finish reading that. Wait. Hold on. Look at this. Let's look at this article. WWE to host 45 current former college athletes at WrestleMania. Yeah, like, honestly, the WWE, like, okay, so before we get into this article, if you're an MMA fan, I'm an MMA fan. There's a lot of, man, how do I phrase this? There's a whole thing going around at one point about like an MMA combine that some league was putting on where they were going to like test athleticism for different UFC, like different fighters, but it was supposed to be one of those things where it was like publicly put on. It was supposed to be a bunch of MMA prospects and you know what? You can look it up and see how it went because it may have actually happened. MMA combine. MMA combine. UFC. I don't know if it's gonna. Yeah, so they did do it. Yeah, they did do it. It's a combine that tested like different athletic abilities for UFC fighters. And the important thing that it got out of it is like they're trying to come up with like data points to gather information about each individual fighter and potentially be able to project forward as to what they're capable of doing and kind of get a general consensus of like what a good flyweight looks like, what a good heavyweight looks like, and all that kind of stuff like that. Instead of doing what they were doing with instead of doing what they were doing with Tough, the Ultimate Fighter, the one where they like get 30 prospects, put them in a house, and then they fight all the way to the final round of a certain tournament. Everybody's in the same weight class, and they fight each other on 2 different teams. One team is represented by one UFC fighter. The other one is typically represented by a champion, and it leads to a fight card, where on the undercard, the champion of Tough is determined, and then the main event of that card is the 2 fighters who are the team captains of each of the teams in the house. And all that jazz like that. But this looks like it could be in the same vein, trying to recruit guys who are legit talents. Because there's one thing that's been happening as time has gone on, the WWE has gotten better at identifying athletes who can be good entertainers as well, like actual athletes instead of dudes who are like really good at taking punishment. Finding like dudes who have athletic builds, like Bobby Lashley is like the epitome of it, right? Like Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar and a flurry of other guys. Even The Rock, like remember The Rock played like Division I football. He was with the Miami Hurricanes, and they've been doing I would say a really good job of finding dudes who have transitioned on into some other sport, because making it in professional football is extremely difficult. And I'm not saying making it into the WWE isn't difficult, but at the end of the day, it's important. It's important to keep trying to identify the next level talent, because you can teach certain people certain things, but you can't teach people talent. You can't teach people to be tall. Can't teach people to be swole as fuck. WWE will begin talent tryouts Wednesday for 45 current and former college athletes, including 19 football players, as part of WrestleMania week in the Dallas area. The 3-day tryout taking place at the Dallas Cowboys headquarters in Frisco, Texas, which is called the Star, will include evaluations for performance and promotions, as well as interview and technical sessions in the ring. The tryout, along with the name, image, and likeness program of the WWE, launched in December, is designed to identify and sign younger athletes for its development program. All 53 participants at this week's tryout, 29 men and 24 women, are 25 or younger. 8 participants did not compete collegiately, but stood out in MMA and CrossFit, which goes a long way. I can tell you right now, Miss Cargill, I follow her on Instagram, and she was like this super fit chick who is now transitioned into NXT, I believe, to get on the track to becoming a WWE superstar, and she's like undefeated or something like that, which is of course by design for the story and all that kind of stuff like that, but goes a long way. Like CrossFit is like being in shape and looking like a superstar is a huge part of the game. Same thing with MMA, right? Like MMA is a understanding of body control, and that goes a long way in pulling off like actual moves and fights and stuff like that. In addition to football players, the participant list includes 7 basketball players, 4 women, 3 men, and athletes from sports such as volleyball, wrestling, track and field, and soccer. WWE scouted college bowl games as well as NCAA championships for track and wrestling, and several other combine events for its tryout list. The average age of the male participants is 23.4. The average age of the female participants is 22.8. These are people straight out of college. Or if, like they were mentioning before, CrossFit and MMA, these are people who are college age. The long-term goal is to create a pathway in which the talent identification process is streamlined, and then the talent development process is accelerated. James Kimball, WWE Senior Vice President for the Global Talent Agency, Global Talent Strategy and Development, told ESPN. We're able to identify talent at a much younger age, and we're able to develop them in an accelerated manner. The football group includes former stars such as TCU offensive lineman Anthony McKinney, Washington State defensive lineman Dallas Hobbs, Kentucky defensive lineman Abdul Abadi Fitzgerald, San Diego State offensive lineman Kyle Spalding, Dominic Gudino, and Samford offensive lineman Armand Lloyd. Former UCLA and Miami tight end Evidence Njoku. Hold on, we have to check. David Njoku, brother, probably in the article a sentence later after we read it, but I have to do it. Yep, it is Evidence Njoku, who is the brother of David Njoku, Cleveland Browns tight end prospect. Cleveland Brown, yep, look at that. I should have just read like half a second further down. The younger brother of Cleveland Browns tight end David Njoku was also trying out. The basketball contingent features Ezekiel Bolugan from North Florida, Asia Royster, Florida A&M, Lorenzo Edwards, St. Joseph, the son of former NBA first-round pick Kevin Edwards, never heard of him. Other participants include Lexi Arhem, a national champion tumbler at Baylor, former George Washington volleyball player Alex Letty, Daniel MacArthur, a 4-time All-American shot putter at North Carolina, and former Texas relay national champion Zola Golden, former LSU soccer player Tina Caffey. Turned down a pro opportunity to pursue the WWE. There you go. Current college athletes will be considered for WWE's second 15-member NIL class, set to be announced in June. WWE announced its first NIL class in December, which included Minnesota wrestler Gable Stevenson an NCAA and Olympic heavyweight champion. WrestleMania 38 takes place Saturday and Sunday at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. That's interesting. I like that. Next article is really sad. You probably saw the title there for a little bit, but we're also probably going to be done here in a second. We've been going for an hour and 13 minutes. How many frames did we skip? We've been stuck at 5 frames for a while. I don't know what the hell the problem was earlier, but it's apparently done. So we might actually end it here. Let's read this sad article and then find another positive article. We might go to Front Office Sports to look at some sports business news and call it a game. Call it game here. That's cool. Oklahoma governor signs transgender sports ban into law because obviously the biggest affront to existence is the people who exist. Because transgender sports, transgender men and women wanting to play sports is paramount to the success of people. But you know how politicians are. They can't come off like they're soft on anything that will affect children. Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt, fuck that guy, signed a bill into law Wednesday that prevents transgender girls and women from competing on girls and women's sports teams, joining a dozen of other states with similar laws. Hold on. Is it only one way? Where it's only trans women? Because that would mean that this is just transphobia and not an actual law to... You get that, right? Where like if it's only affecting one group of trans people, like trans women, as opposed to like trans men as well, it's misogyny. Get it? Anyway, flanked by more than a dozen girls and women, including his 14-year-old daughter Piper Stitt, signed the measure dubbed the Save Women's Sports Act. I don't think women need men trying to save their sport. I think women are just fine doing what they're doing. This bill, the Save Women's Sports Act, to us in Oklahoma is just common sense, said Stitt, a first-term Republican who was running for re-election. Surprise, surprise. When it comes to sports and athletics, girls should compete against girls, boys should compete against boys. Who says that? And let's be very clear, that's all this bill says. That the bill, which easily passed the Republican-led House and Senate, mostly along party lines, took effect immediately with the governor's signature. It applies to girls' sports teams and high school sports and women's teams. Oh wow, it even extends to college. Wow, man. I just want to recognize this is what your fucking tax dollars are going towards in Oklahoma. Instead of solving your education problem and like the poverty issues and stuff like that, it's going towards oppression. But whatever, do you. The new law, quickly panned by civil rights groups as unnecessary targeting group of people who are already marginalized, which it is, because once again, like trying to prevent trans women from playing sports with other women, it's weird because it's all like the murder of trans women is like super high in America, but like nobody's really talking about that. They're talking about whether or not a trans woman can play soccer, right? Transgender people belong everywhere, but with this swipe of a pen and a public display, Governor Stitt has sent a clear message to Oklahoma's vulnerable transgender youth that they are not welcomed or accepted in our state. That is correct, said Tamia Cox-Tour, the executive director of Oklahoma's chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union. Ultimately, SB 2 violates the State's Bill 2. Violates the United States Constitution and federal rights law, puts Oklahoma at risk of losing federal funding and harms transgender youth, all to solve a problem that does not exist. Jesus, there it is, right there, ladies and gentlemen. The state's governing body for high school sports, the Oklahoma Secondary Schools Activity Association, has had a policy in place since 2015 addressing transgender athletes participating in sports. But the OSSAA spokesperson Van Shea Ivan said no school has ever requested enforcement of the policy for a male student transitioning to female. Outside the room where Stitt signed a bill, 26-year-old Cara Cleaver, who is transgender, held a sign that read, "How does it feel bullying kids needing support?" They're not going to keep trans kids from playing sports, having fun, or living their lives, Cleaver said. What they're going to do with this bill is tell them they're not invited into spaces and amongst everyone else. What they're not, that they are not equal, that they're not loved, and that they're not cared for. Because if it already wasn't difficult to be trans, gotta love it when the government, the U.S. government, goes out of their way to make sure, like, hey, we're gonna make sure that you can't have fun either, loser. A similar bill did not advance last year, but several supporters of the measure said that they were convinced to vote for it after Penn swimmer Leah Thomas, a transgender woman, won it. See, that's the fucked up problem. It's not an issue until like trans people start winning. That's so fucking weird because it's almost like the problem is situation. It's almost like they're not actually concerned about trans people. It's about something else. It's weird. It's really weird. Some opponents have raised concerns that the NCAA pulling sports tournaments from Oklahoma, including the Women's College World Series held each year in Oklahoma City, but Stitt said he he wasn't concerned. By the way, hey, if you didn't think it was a problem now, don't ever worry about it because they're probably never gonna come back. I can tell you this also. The sport that I play, Quidditch, they've made like a distinct effort to not go to places that have transgender, anti-trans laws. So like they're probably like, and not that Oklahoma cares as like a state, but like this is the appropriate reaction. Like that's bad societal behavior, right? Attacking a group of people who are one, a ridiculously small percentage of the population for something that's not really a crime, and then also doing it for like no actual legitimate reason. Right? That's a huge deal to go out of your way to do that. So I feel like that's the appropriate reaction. Instead, he wasn't concerned. We're not worried about it because we know Oklahomans are with us and the majority of Americans are with us as well, he said, which is really funny because it's interesting. That's an interesting concept. Let's look at something real quick. U.S. education rankings by state. This is usnews.com, which is where they rank every high school in the country as well. So, let's see. How far down is... Okay, top 10. I'm going to close that. Higher education and pre-K. Oh, this is weird. New Jersey, Washington, Colorado, Oklahoma. Let's see. I feel like we're going to be scrolling for a while until we get to Oklahoma. Oh, wow. It didn't have the rest of the list. Oh, there it is. Expand list. California. Wow, California's really low. Missouri, Idaho. It's going to take a while. Texas, 34. Shout out Texas for sucking. Nevada. Did we get to Oklahoma yet? Oh, Oklahoma's 42 out of 50. 42 out of 50. Shout out Oklahoma. It's just fucking stupid. But yeah, gotta make sure. Poverty rankings by state. Poverty rate by state. World population. Let's see. Oklahoma, 14.93%. Which, if according to this chart, puts them right here. Pretty high. Ridiculously high. Arizona is like really high. Sorry. Poverty rate by U.S. states. So, lowest first, highest first. Top 5. Wow, those are really sad top 5s. Weird. Lowest poverty rates. 6 other states have poverty rates below 10%, which is cool. Let's see. Oklahoma in the top 8. Here are 10 states with the highest poverty rates. Oklahoma. But, trans kids. Got to focus on them. Anyway, let's find a happy article. I said we were going to go to Front Office Sports, right? Front Office Sports. Front Office Sports, they got money stuff. By the way, if you're a fan, definitely if you like sports business or you like seeing big numbers like I do, definitely check out Front Office Sports. Oh, here we go. Right off the jump, I like that. The National Football League, by the way, this article is written by, hold on, Abigail Gentrup, who we might be getting ready to follow here on Twitter. The National Football League is looking to grow its international business to $1 billion annually over the next 10 years, and it's using flag football to get to the end zone. Oh, God. All right, Abigail. We're off to a shaky start. We're coming out here with puns. Damani Leach, COO of NFL International, says the league's next phase of expansion is overseas, projecting 50 million more international consumers in the next decade, despite already having more than 150 million international and 180 million domestic fans. To reach its goal, the league is pushing to add flag football to the 2028 Olympic Games. We've got to make the game better, Leach told CNBC. If flag football becomes a sport in the Olympics, more countries will invest in playing that sport. Big facts. American football was included as a demonstration sport in the 1932 Olympics, but hasn't been recognized since. It requires at least 1 week pause between games of the same teams. That's right, because the Olympics is only like 3 weeks. Reebok's lobby for the sport's entrance failed in 1996. The International Federation of American Football became recognized as the governing body in 2013 by the IOC, which is the International Olympic Committee, which is why I abbreviated that because I don't like saying their whole name, which would likely help the sport's newest bid enter into competition. Next step, Harry Schiller, a former executive director of the U.S. Olympic Committee, said that the NFL will need to get more countries to play the game, spend time with the IOC members voting on the plan, and compete in international markets. The decision reportedly won't come until after the 2024 Olympics. Which, by the way, I'd like to point out there's something that's definitely helping a ton. These Team USA jerseys look lit as fuck, by the way. One thing that's helping a shit ton in terms of getting exposure for flag football and 7-on-7 and all that kind of stuff like that is definitely, one, the ladies are playing it a lot more frequently, so there's like a ton more women that are actually involved in football in different facets as the world still works on getting like a full tackle league that doesn't require them to play in panties and bras. But there's also that aspect of it, and there's a bunch of other leagues that have women playing football all across the country and having a lot of fun in the sport that for some reason is number one in America, but also like doesn't have a situation where like a group of people who make up more than 50% of the population can play. I'm just saying, if there was ever one thing as like a guy in football or like a person who makes money on football would be trying to do, is try and figure out how to like make sure as many people as possible are included in football. But hey, whatever. These uniforms are lit. I actually want to look at where they got these from. And hopefully they have a 6XL, because usually when they're like dry fit shirts like that, that's what it takes for me to be able to wear it. But nonetheless, oh man, this is interesting. I can't wait to see this. That would be pretty cool. And I know there's been a lot of pushes in recent years to try and make it happen or whatever, but, you know, a man can dream. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I can also dream of a time after this here podcast. I know we started off a little rough because of all the frame skipping. I appreciate everybody who stuck with this all the way through to the end to check out the show. To the show, we are I'm going to take my leave now, and we'll talk to you guys on Friday when we do a full show, the Broke Boy Sports Podcast. Make sure you give me a follow on all the social medias if you want to be kept abreast of when we do things on the show. Hit me up on Twitter at FB_Playbook. Hit me up on Instagram at TheAshtonForever. And all that good jazz like that. Follow, like, and subscribe on YouTube, and then of course follow on Twitch as we are on our path to affiliate, baby. We are just one requirement away, and that's that we get consistently 3 people watching the show live. A lot of people watch the show retroactively, which of course will probably help me get people to watch the show live later on. I got to do my part on social media. Other than that, keep doing your part and keep coming here, checking out the show, and I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart. You could have been anywhere in the world, and you somehow found a way to be right here with me. Go home. I'm kidding. Wash your hands, wash your ass. If you have the ability to take a full shower, please do it as often as possible. You never know when your next one could be. Go home, Roger.